Hi everyone, GrayPower60 here. I am going to be making a master board using some of these lovely papers that I showed. And I was going to use this because I don't think I'll be using it, but I have 2 pages, so I thought whatever I put on the back, perhaps these could be lines that you could write on if I was doing a journal card or whatever. So in the beginning of my video, I was showing you some lovely pages of various vintage papers that I have. And I am going to, oh, look at that lovely picture. I am going to be, I don't want to have anything on the other side. I am going to make a master board with some of these pages that I want to use when I'm making some, let's see if we can use some of this paper. As I say, I don't want any images, and I don't want to take away from any of the images. So I'm going to be looking for pages that I want to, for instance, this one. This paper is very delicate. Very, very delicate. And I want to be sure not to take away from any of the images that are on the other side. Oh, I've even got these. I guess I played with these with stamping. Oh, I might use some of that. So, and then I have some scraps here that I might be using. And I am also going to be cutting it up into various pages. I am not going to care whether or not it's torn or ripped, and I may use some of the strips for clusters, etc., etc. So in the beginning of my video, I showed you my little elves, gnomes, and elves and gnomes. Yeah, and I thought while I'm doing this, so it's not so boring for you, I thought I would tell you a story that I came across. I just have to get my papers in order here. Sorry, guys. Let me just get all kind of organized. Yeah. So, I was reading up on something. Of course, most people are doing autumn, or now being October, a lot of people are doing the elves, not the elves, sorry, the Halloween stuff. I'm looking at these guys talking about elves. I'm just going to save some of these little scraps. I like these. I like these little advertising things as well. Anyway, I was looking up because I saw somewhere in a video or something that it was 100 days till Christmas. And that at this point, at the North Pole, or everywhere in the world, I suppose, elf training was coming into effect. And I was curious, so I decided to look deeper and look a little further into what the heck that meant. I'm just ripping up a couple of things, get them kind of organized here. See, I love these advertisements. So I decided to do a little bit of fun research. I'm going to keep these separate, so I'll just put these on the side. Yeah, just for fun, I decided to find out what the heck elf training was. Now, before I go into the training of elves, what I'd like to do is tell you sort of the history of elves. And it is old, it is long, and it is rather interesting. And many of you may already know. Sometimes when we're doing things, I like to sort of check out the background of whatever it is we may be doing or we may be talking about, or you know, that kind of stuff. I wonder if I might need those words one of these days, so I like that advertisement word. So what's on the other side? East and west as well. So how much above that can I go? Yeah, so from the old pagan days, long before Christianity, I'm just gonna cut these in half here, just like so. I got a little number on there. Yeah, the beliefs were that elves or trolls were evil and brought sickness and bad things to people, and they were feared in sort of Norse, N-O-R-S-E, Norse. I believe Norse mythology may also be related or suggested to be sort of Germanic mythology. I sort of think of it as the times of the Romans, etc., etc. But anyway, yeah, so they believed that these trolls had to be feared, and women even would hide their babies to protect them from these trolls that they learned of, I guess, when they were children. So then Christianity came around, and beliefs started changing from not only you know, their normal regular fears, but also, I'm just trying to keep some of this stuff here, but also people began believing that church bells, that trolls were afraid of church bells. So I suppose why bells rang out so many times in, you know, I guess different times of day or whatever. I don't know. But I went a little further, and I was looking into the Scandinavian folklore, sharing their traditions, and from what I remember, the original Santa Claus was actually a Scandinavian gentleman who would work all year long to make toys for the poor children. And on the eve of Christmas, he would leave different carved wooden animals or toys or whatever for children, and that's kind of how Santa Claus developed over the years for us modern day believers and storytellers, etc., etc. But one of the things that was rich in their stories of mythical creatures was that they reflected their roots to nature. So any of these gnomes or mythical creatures were all part of nature, and these mythical creatures ranged from trolls living in the mountains to forests or in caves, you know, or under bridges, that kind of thing. And, you know, over the years, stories change, ideas, people bring in more of their own traditions and the folklore, and rather interesting, the whole history of it all. Many of these stories, these mythical creatures, became part of their, you know, their traditions and the way they lived their lives, and you know, that kind of thing. I really like this edge here. I think I'll leave that one for now. The same with this one. There's another one with the word advertisements. I like that. With numbers. Yeah. So, what also I read about was that some of these mythical beings, what they would say is that they were kind of dim-witted, and they were kind of like dumb and that kind of thing, mischievous, and even some of the folklore talked about mythical creatures who were, you know, seductresses or seductors, who they would lure people, men, especially men, into the forests to have their way with them, whatever mischievous thing they wanted to do to that particular human. So it was rather interesting going through some of these storylines and how traditions start, and how some stories evolve into other stories. So, you know, and even, you know, they got to the point where even some of them were, you know, helpers. There was one, I think it's called Nissa. I'm not sure the pronunciation, so you'll have to forgive me. Or I think it's called a Tomte, Tomte. Anyone who's from Scandinavia probably correct me. And the Nisse. I don't know if it's Nissi, which was their word for, you know, kind of an elf or a troll or something like that. And as time went on, some of these trolls or elves or mythical creatures were described as having white beards, being a little old man with white beards, and wore a pointed red hat, which is probably where we get our gnomes of today. I'm just going to rip this off as well. Yeah, and so as I delved a little deeper, one of the things that he was known for, this little creature, was that this little old man with white beard and red hat. I'm going to cut up some of this one here as well. You know, if you were a farmer and you had land and so on, these mythical creatures were said to help tend the house, the barn at night and bring good fortune. But of course, that is only if the family respected the little creature. And if he was neglected, I think what they used to do is leave a little bowl of porridge on their doorstep at night, and that would be their way of saying thank you for protecting our home. And if they didn't, if they abused it or whatever, this mythical creature was said to bring misfortune to the farm and to the family, whether it be in you know, floods and famine and droughts and, you know, et cetera, or, you know, their animals dying or their equipment breaking down, you know, all that kind of thing. And that was in those old days. That was something they believed. I suppose it's the same as today. We have these superstitions of, you know, black cat walks in front of your path, or walking under a ladder, etc., etc. You know, there's all superstitions come down through the ages, and it's fun to look them up and see what you know, where it originates from. Where do all of these superstitions and things originate from? And because I have my gnomes and they've been so popular in our crafting journeys lately, that I thought I would do a little, I like that word, east and west. No, I think we're going to save that word. It was fun to kind of look up and kind of go back and see where our modern day elves get their history from. That's quite large. That may be just broken up. I might just break that one up. I am not sure. So I'm wondering if I have enough pages. I think I'm going to keep this. That is so delicate paper. Oh, is there 2 pages here? Did I just... No, I guess it was just ripped. Yeah, so, yeah, farmers had these little helpers on their farm. And this is a different feel of paper, and I'm wondering here if I keep this little part that might come in handy somewhere. And I don't think I'm going to need the words. I might leave that for now. You never know. A serial story, I may never know if I'm going to use that. Again, I'm going to strip this down. So there was many folklore, many stories that were actually moral lessons for children. So a lot of these stories may have originally been made up by the mother, father, grandmother, whatever. they always had moral lessons, you know, about their behavior. Like, you know, if you're bad, this will happen. You know, the gremlins will come and get you at night, etc., etc. Kind of like some of the stories that we've heard. Oh, this is not ripping well. But that's okay. I may be able to use that somewhere, somehow. Just make these all different sizes. I wasn't going to do them all kind of straight lined or square. I was going to make them all different shapes, but I guess I'm not. And if, because this is ripping and it's so delicate, I'm going to put it on the pile there. And see, yeah, so, you know, there were moral lessons for children. So, like, your behavior, you know, be kind or else, or, you know, share, be helpful, work hard. If you don't work hard, this could happen, you know, that kind of stuff. All kinds of different things like that that comes down through history, through a lot of storytelling, etc., etc. So all of this kind of folklore, traditions, and stories lead us up to today, where we have a Santa Claus. I don't know. I think I might do it this way. You know, who is a fat, jolly fellow with a white beard, red suit, black boots, and it looks nothing like the old Norse gentleman who would all year long make toys for the children out of wood, or perhaps leave the family a bundle of some sort of food, bread, or whatever. Yeah, so it just... I got the window open and there's noisiness going on outside. Yeah, I think I'll wait. I may be doing some more tearing here. Yeah, so our gnomes and elves, etc., have been quite popular with us crafters over the past little while. And while I'm doing some of this, I thought I would share some of the story. Okay, let me just get something and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to make myself a cup of tea. I got noisy neighbors tonight. I don't know why. They're not usually noisy. Gonna get my glue stick out. Sorry, little elf, but let me... I thought I had them all in here, but I don't. That little tray tends to get a little full. Now, in case I run out of glue, sorry, I am going to get out some of my other glue sticks. I'm afraid when I was cleaning up, I was putting things away. I still have a new one just in case I need it. And these are, I've been using them. I've been using them like crazy, but we'll leave them there for now. These little gnome heads, these little elf heads, I call them gnome heads. I created those from some of the modeling clay that you can get at the dollar store. And I was going to make a mushroom, and by the looks of it, I never did color them. I said I might someday, and I never did. They're light as a feather. but it was fun creating it, and I actually surprised myself because it didn't start off to be little gnome heads. It started off to, I was going to make little mushrooms, and that's what it ended up being. You never know where our creativity is going to go. Now, I don't want to be too fussy on how I'm going to glue these on, but one of the things, I was going to use this side, but I was afraid some of the paper you'd be able to see through it. This is an old piece of scrapbook paper that I will never use. So I also not only made a cup of tea, but also turned on the light so that so that the lighting would be better, since it's getting really late. I really should be going to bed, but now I have to be very careful with this paper because it is very old and very delicate. Oops, do I have 2 pages there? No. And what I usually try and do is get out my tweezers to hold on to it so that my fingers don't take off. I'm going to stand up for a second here. Don't take the glue off, but then I tend to do all kinds of crazy things here. Sorry, I just want to get that. And again, like I did with my other masterboard with vintage paper, is I'm just going to go in any direction. I'm not going to care how it looks, where it goes, you know, etc., etc. And I do want to show some of the advertisement as well. This one was on the back, but it's all cut up, so I have to be a little more, I got glue on there. Okay, again, I gotta stand up just to get it to the edge. Although if I don't, again, we'll just use some vintage photo or some kind of distress ink to light to darken the sides so that the white doesn't show as much. Yeah, with a big piece of paper, 12 by 12 like this, sorry, sometimes I have to stand up, and I want to mix things up. This time I don't mind. I'm going to use this written paper. Some of it's blue and some of it's black and some of it's gray, but I don't know what the heck. Okay, yeah, we're having all kinds of issues here today. Let me fold that in half. So, the other thing that I was doing, I'm on this gnome elf kick. So coming around, you know, from the history of elves and gnomes and mystical beings and all of that kind of stuff, I was kind of curious. I never really figured out, I gotta stand up again, sorry guys, so it's gonna be a little bit louder. What is the difference between a gnome and an elf? So, from reading up on it, Googling it, I'm gonna have a cup of tea. I hope you're not too bored. Elves are taller, slimmer, graceful, beautiful, and they are usually associated with nature, with all kinds of, I wonder if I want to start putting some of these on here. I think I will, because I got enough paper that's going to have text on it. so let's just get some other interest on these pages. I'm really curious to see how it's going to turn out. That's why I wanted to give this a try and see how it will turn out, especially once it's all cut up. Ooh, I could do that up a little bit higher, a little bit over, but like I say, if there's a little bit showing, that's okay. Where's my... So occasionally I may sound closer than what I am just because I'm standing up. Never too late to begin again. That's what this book is, what my papers are. I got all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So Elves. And it made sense to me because what evolved into the Elf on a Shelf is slim, clean face, graceful, beautiful looking. They're associated with nature and magic and music and that kind of thing. And gnomes are usually, I'm wondering if I should do this and then add a piece there. Yeah, why not? Why not do whatever? Yeah, so gnomes are usually smaller. They're stout, little chubby guys. They're earth-dwelling, and their focus is on crafting, like, you know, making wood things, hiding treasures, and usually they have the white beard and the little red pointed hat. So my Santa elf is actually a Santa gnome. And most of our cute little gnomes are that way. So that's how I kind of distinguish the two, is that I wonder if I should just put that right in the middle and work around it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Why not? Why not? I could be a little bit more careful, but I really just want to get this done. And of course, chat with you guys, see how you're doing. Things are coming together with my son's move and, you know, getting organized and making sure the finances are okay and all that stuff. Yeah. So I looked up, no, I don't want that together. I think I'm just going to have to put something different here. I don't think I want that. Those are two lines there. Lines. I'm mixing myself up. I did have a plan. Is that going to fit? No, but I can always put something there. Unless I have something else a little bit longer. Yes, I do. I will put that there. Yeah, so I made a list beside me here of the key differences between an elf and a gnome. And of course, if I visually think of, you know, these little guys or these little guys here, those are gnomes because they are stout. They have a beard. We always consider them to be helpful. And, oh, come on. Oh. Sorry, I'm just making sure that that is going up to the edge a little bit better. A little white is okay. Yeah. And our elves are usually taller. They're kind of graceful. They're a little mischievous. They possess kind of magical powers. And kind of the guardians of nature too, I suppose, in some of the folklores that we think of. Whereas nowadays, I'm gonna have to get rid of that one here. Nowadays, with Elf on a Shelf, we see the difference between an elf and a gnome very clearly. And kind of fun, I think. I also looked up, you know, because I tend to do that when I'm curious. Sometimes out of nowhere, the thought will come to me like, I wonder where that came from, or I wonder who started that. Ooh, I don't want to cover the whole thing. So I think we'll cut this one down. Oops. Well, look how delicate that is. Oh my gosh. I'll put that aside for now. I guess I'm going to use my scissors to cut this one down. And I forgot what I was saying as I did that. I forgot where my train of thought was. I forgot where my train of thought was. I have little notes beside me. Oh, yes, I know where I was going with that. As I was looking up the differences between elves and gnomes, and it kind of hit me that our gnomes are, like I say, little short guys with beards. And was I going to put it that way? Oh, that was a dumb thing to do. I guess I'll put it over here. I'm so busy doing this, I'm not thinking of what I'm telling you. I want to get some other things that are underneath here. I think, where did I put those? Oh, here we are. Here we are. I think I'm going to, right in between the two, I'm just going to cut it roughly between the two. Yeah, so I, of course, being silly, nosy, and whatever, decided I wanted to look up the origins and how far back it goes for the Elf on a Shelf. And apparently, this woman named Carol, I'm going to try and say her last name. People, you know, you guys may already know this. I didn't know this. I think it's Abisold and her daughters, Chanda and Krista, during the 1970s, I guess, sometime around there, they used to have this kind of family tradition of this little elf that would come into the house, and I guess it comes back from maybe her ancestors telling stories of the old days, and she came up with this to play every Christmas to have her children, I guess, behave themselves. This elf is watching you, and every night he reports back to Santa, see if you've been a good girl or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm sure I've got more papers ripped. And I'm going to save these edges. I do want to add more advertising on there as well. So let us see. I'm just trying to blend things a little bit. maybe you will go down here and I will rip that little bit off the bottom. Or I could put it sideways down here. I don't know if you guys can see that low. I tried to keep it zoomed out so that I would not, yeah, that's good, be out of frame. Yeah, so I guess they decided to self-publish a story about their elf on a shelf in 2005, and around 2007, I believe, Jennifer Garner, who is an actress, this is the story I saw. I looked up, or saw this, and then it became really popular. It became sort of a national thing. And, of course, then things went crazy with the elf on a shelf, which the whole idea is to teach children, I guess, consequences of bad behavior and the lessons of good behavior. And of course, the elves had rules. They came in, the elves can come in, different sizes, different, shapes, forms, boy, girl, whatever. But one of their characteristics of these elves is that they're curious, a little mischievous, a little clumsy. Here we go, we've got more. That might go there. No. Being clumsy, being, falling off their perch. And of course, nowadays parents are finding different ways of having their elves. Well, of course, they have to move in different places every night after they come back from Santa's. I may have to put that on there after all. I'm going to anyway. Yeah. So, and there are different rules about these elf on a shelf. I'm sure you guys all know, but I just was laughing about some of the rules. Is that you cannot touch an elf. They are magical creatures and will lose their magic if you touch them. And every night they will play a game with you of hide and seek. And that's kind of their mischievous way, the fun thing that they do. And the other thing that they do is every night they go and report to Santa, whether you've been a good little boy or a bad little boy or a good little girl or whatever. And, yep. I'm trying not to think and just do it, but, sometimes you can't help it. You're looking at it going, what else should I put on here? So the big rule, I guess, is you can't touch them. Well, children can't touch them, which means that they must behave themselves and not touch their elf. Otherwise, the magic's gone. Santa will find out about it, come and get his elf, take him back, and forever you will never see him again. Something to that effect, anyway. I may be exaggerating a little bit. Yeah. So elves can't speak. Kids wonder. They can't speak human language. They can only speak the elf language. And but they listen to everything you do and make sure that you're behaving. I might put that there. Sorry guys, I'm standing up. I hope I'm not too loud. What is something? Oh yeah, so I think I said every night he has to move. For those of you who have grandchildren or children of your own that had Elf on a Shelf, know about all of these little adventures that we had to think up every night for a new location, and what else the elf was up to. Sometimes being a little bit clumsy, they would fall, or they would get into something, or get into the sugar, get into the... I think I might put this one down here. And again, I might just... because the paper is so delicate, using my ruler rips them too much. Check to see. Oh, let's try it on here. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm just gluing. And the other thing is, part of the rules is that Christmas Eve, the elf is gone. He's gone back to the North Pole to report to Santa and all of that stuff. It's kind of cute. So, oops, trying to get into the corner here. There we go. Oops, it's a little bit off, but that's okay. We'll use a little bit of distress ink to see if I can sit down for a little while. I get tired of standing up. Glue, glue, glue. Yeah, so that's our Elf on a Shelf business. I really was curious to find out exactly how or when it started. And I'm wondering if the idea, there was some reference to a 1950s styled elf. There was a picture of a woman who had one in the 50s. I don't know if that's true or not, but was kind of curious. But it's funny how the history of I'm wondering if that's too close. I'm going to put it there. I'm trying not to think, but it's sometimes hard. Yeah, it's sometimes, could even put it here, couldn't I? I'm almost covering that middle piece, aren't I? It's a little crooked, but that's okay. That is okay. Oops. I just, sometimes I'm looking at things, or I'm thinking about things for crafting, and I wonder if I have another one that's, this one's huge. I think it might be too big. Well, I can cover over it. I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, sometimes I get curious about things, or I don't remember if I heard the story before about something, and sometimes it's just fun to look things up. And I'm not always trusting every Google search or every, there's a little bit of something on there. I will reference and cross-reference. You have to. Not everything is absolutely true. You have to trust your sources and find out where the source came from. That is something else I do when I am doing research, is I will check out the source's background. because you can't always believe every single thing. Now, here's kind of cool too, summer school. Again, I'm going to use my scissors because the paper is very delicate and I don't want it to be ripped or ruined. I think I need more text. I am doing a lot of advertising as well, and I'm trying to see about putting things. Yes, I'm just going to do it. Try not to think. Try not to think. So I went after I did all of the research and just looking things up for my own curiosity. I went and got my Elves, and I thought, well, that's a good title for my video. Elves, Gnomes, and Vintage Paper. I thought it was kind of fun and silly at the same time. I don't have much advertising up here, do I? So I'm just going to hints for leaders. It's kind of mushed. I think I will put it there anyway. It's kind of fun thing. A fun thing to just kind of sit right there. I don't know how well I pushed these down to make sure that the glue contacts really well. So we're only coming up with just this little bit of space here. I've got some of these smaller ones. I'm wondering if I should cover up that edge. Do I have a more narrow one? I'm sure I do. I cut up so many different size pieces. Nope, that's another advertisement. Let me just cut one. I think I'll cut this one here. This is the one that ripped earlier. I mean, I don't mind jagged edges, but I just, you know, I just prefer them to be a little straighter this time. This time around, that one's going this way, so this one can go this way. Down you come, oops. And over you go. Oh, that's glue. I thought that was a hair. Yeah, so now that little jagged edge is covered, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Yeah, so all of this research that I was doing was a lot of fun, a lot of reading. I wrote a lot of things down. That one's there. I wrote a lot of things down that I thought would be fun. Now this is cute. Adrift on an ice pan. The story of a miraculous escape by Wilfred T. I think it's Grenfell. Illustration from photographs by Dr. Grenfell and others. The story is cloth 90 cents net at all booksellers and new dealers, or from William Briggs, publisher, Toronto. Huh. Cute stuff. Cute information. 90 cents. Imagine a book being 90 cents. Cloth bound? I wonder what that I'm wondering if I can put that. Oh, ooh, not quite. Come on, come on. It's got to go over just a tad. Nope, it's got to go over more. Either that or I'm just crooked. Crookedness. There we go. There we go. I didn't even use this thing here. I've been using my hand. I'm starting to really like this, even though it's a little bit kind of out of my comfort zone when it comes to some of these pieces. Again, I'm going to trim that down. There is a piece there, and there is a piece there and there. There's 3 pieces already. I could put it upside down. Why not? You know, I have to stop thinking and just putting it. And yeah. So today's video is a long one because I'm chatterbox, but I just thought it was fun to seek out the difference between a gnome and an elf. Sometimes would get me a little confused. And now that I know the difference, that one's going that way and that one's going that way, I guess you're going to go straight up and down. Again, I'm going to, well, oh, I need this spot too. So, yes, my friend, I guess I'm going to split you in half roughly. And it's, of course, crooked, but I don't care. Maybe I'll rip that little bit off. And flip the book over. So in I don't know whether yes, I do want those words there. In my video where I said I have had enough of, I think, except for Christmas, I think I get not overwhelmed, bored, I think is the proper word. I get bored with, I'm wondering if that'll fit. That will fit. And I can take it off right about here. I hope it'll rip nicely. With themes, you know, Easter, Christmas, well, not Christmas. Christmas I love, and I mean, I don't mind doing a lot of Christmassy craft stuff, but I don't really like Halloween. I mean, it's okay, but it's never been a big deal to me. Never really, yeah, I never really cared for Halloween. I don't know. Not like my brother. My brother loved Halloween. And my kids, they love the whole spookiness, the whole movies, the whole blah, blah, blah. I never watch horror movies, ever, ever, ever. I just don't watch them. I'm looking for something to put. This is a big piece, but I'm just wondering if there's something I can put there. I don't know if it'll fit, but I'm going to cut it down this way. Sometimes you have to use your scissors for, even if it's crooked. How wide over? See, I'm still going to have a little piece there unless I put it this way. But then I'm going to lose the July. And that's kind of what I wanted. I really wanted that July on there. And I don't care if it's crooked. So, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just going to put it on there. I have to flip it over. It's this one or it's this one. I did do that one too, didn't I? A year with, I think I will just, I know it was the other side I was going to do. But, yeah, I'd rather sort of, I guess, when I'm doing my crafting, I guess I kind of like to do a little of this, a little of that, and not be constrained with a timeline. Like, for instance, I need a little strip there. You know, Halloween, fall. I think Christmas is the only one I don't mind being school at your home. Is that gonna fit? Yes. We're going to cut that off right there. Let's make sure it's gonna fit. Just fit, yes. But even Christmas, I love, and I love to do things, and I love to make decor and recycle, upcycle, or whatever you want to call it. I love doing all of that. Oops. But even that, I can be tired of quickly. Whether it's running out of ideas or whether it's just, you know, too much pressure on myself to do things. Okay, we've got all these pieces now, and I need to put them into one of these lovely plastic things. So here we are. I will put it underneath to dry, and so it won't curl up. I just noticed that the glue coming through here, I never noticed it before if that had patches of gray on there. I'm gonna have to look at the other page. I'm pretty sure it's the glue that I put on that's given it that kind of gray aged mist to it. Kind of interesting. Sorry, I'll move it because it can be annoying to look at. Very annoying. So anyway, guys, that is my elf story time silliness. And I do have some gnome, not elf. I gotta remember that. Gnome paper for Christmas. I've also got some other things for Christmas. And I want to use, I'm going to make more with all of these scraps, but I want to use this as background for some Christmas tags, or maybe just some vintage things. Ephemera. Thank you for the word. I don't know why it was escaping me, since that's what I do mostly, is ephemera. And I love to make things. I'm going to put these strips in here as well, so that they all are together. I was looking through my cupboard, and I have these plastic containers. I have one underneath me here. I'll show you. I bought a lot of, oops. Oh, this is a red one. Most of mine are white. These very large scrapbook case, they call it. I got it at Michael's many years ago. And I just put it under here for now. And I also grabbed a scrapbook of Christmas paper out. But yeah, I found some hidden in there, hidden in my scrapbook box, I guess we'll call it. Some coffee dyed paper. I was so like, it seems like I work on something and then it's not going to fit that way. We'll go this way. And then when I put them away, they don't go in the place they're supposed to go. And I end up being mad at myself for finding it long after I've made more. Okay. Sorry, I'm just putting these things away because if I don't put them away, I'm going to be very angry with myself for not protecting them. And, well, I don't know if protecting is the word, but caring for them and making sure that they're not in the same bags that Louise gave me these, and I didn't want to use any of this tissue paper. Come on, tissue paper. It's too delicate and I didn't want to use it. I'm sure I'll come up with a good way to use these in the future. But yeah, so I'm liking putting these all in these protective pages and putting them back into, I think that was a mistake. There we go, that's better. To fit into my box. And you remember my 49-cent boxes that I got at the thrift store. And that's where I like to keep all of the papers. Oh, I'm going to have to fix that Louise sent me. Not all of them. There's another box with a few things in them. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for me. Thanks for joining me. I'm sure this is much longer than I had anticipated. I'm going to put that underneath my pad where it will get nice and flat and dry. And that's it for me. So thanks for joining me, and goodbye from my little Gnomes, even though I called him my elf Santa. I guess you're my gnome Santa with the red pointy hat and the white beard and the little stoutness. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.